Hey, everybody, welcome into episode 2 of the Somewhat Distracted podcast. It's been about a month and a half since we recorded our last episode, and we've consumed quite a bit of content since then. Uh,
Maybe a
anyway,
little
I'm
less
Jay.
variety on my end, but
Anyway, I'm Jay. As you know, this is Tyler,
hello.
and I'm just going to jump straight into it. You've been watching Steins Gate. I don't know if you've finished Steins Gate Zero or you even
I've
started
not.
that,
I've started
but
it. I haven't finished it though.
okay.
But man, you
So
didn't even give
just,
me
just
like a chance to ask the question. I was gonna hit you with the what have
okay.
you
Hit me
been
with something.
watching lately? But no. You chose me first. And
I
I
mean,
guess
hey,
it's
the viewers want to know the meaty stuff, and
do
everybody wants to
they?
know about Steins Gate
See,
because
that's the thing
Steins
though.
Gate is great.
Like, it depends on how spoiler-ish you want me to get, because I could like straight up just start talking about shit, but I don't know how we operate with this. I don't know if you want me to like be
We
vague.
operate how we want.
Well, does that
I
mean spoilers included?
well, sure, but we'll obviously put a spoiler warning before we say that.
Well, then I guess we're gonna have to.
All right, spoiler warning right now. If you don't want to know anything about Steins Gate, and I recommend you click off and you watch that show before you come back and listen to
Well,
this.
either that, or you could just timestamp to the portion wherever I shut up about it, because it could take a while.
Sure, I'll put something up on the screen about when we stop talking about it.
Look at this
But
guy and his production value. Look at him go.
I know it's just
Um,
it's amazing.
I will do my best to like not say too much, but it's kind of
I'll
unavoidable
just go
because
for it.
this
We
is
put the
like
disclaimer up. Might as well.
yeah, because like outside of recording this, we I like me and Jay both have like tried to not talk about some of the shit that like we've been watching to like purposely save it for this. So this for the most part is actually us talking about it for the first
Yep.
time. But yeah, Steins Gate's weird. Like it's weird. Uh it kind of hurt my brain at first for like the first I'd say 8 or 9 episodes.
Yeah,
And this
it'll
is I'm
do
talking
that.
about season 1, quote unquote, because 0 is a season 2, but it's also not, but I'll get into that. Um I don't know. At first, I was actually like, for the first 5, 6 episodes, I was genuinely thinking, I was like, man, this really is that highly rated. I was like, I'm not feeling it right now. Like, I really was not drawn in at first. Like, the first episode was amazing. First episode was
Yeah,
crazy. I was like, what the fuck? Of course, anything like time travel related, I'm like a moth drawn to a flame because I'm like, this is so cool, but I have no idea what the hell's going on.
yeah.
Um,
I'd say most people say that until the twist comes in around like season around like episode 10 or 11, it's a bit slow.
Yeah, it was slow and it was also like a bit mundane. Like it didn't really feel like there was too much of a goal. It was just like they were just experimenting with shit, as scientists do.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but in hindsight, after finishing like the entire first season, whatever, and on to 0, those episodes were definitely necessary. Like they weren't doing nothing.
yeah.
It was just
There
build
were
up.
you needed that.
Yeah, you obviously
Yeah,
needed like introductions to characters and whatever and all that, but it was it was kind of weird for the most part. And then once I got to like you said around like I think it was like 10, I think it was like I want to say it was like 11 or 12, maybe 13.
yeah.
In
I
that
think
area
that's
there's
right.
like,
I think it
there's
was
that
11 or 12.
huge, I don't even say it's like a twist, but there's that huge like
It's more of a
big
shock.
it's a big event that goes down.
Yeah, yeah,
And um then there seems to be like a definitive actual goal because before that I guess that's a better way I could have explained it. Before that point, it didn't seem like there was a like direct goal for the show. Um,
yeah. It's kind of like a lot of experimenting with how the whole, obviously spoilers, how the whole time travel system works and
yeah,
what he's actually doing. And then he realizes he fucked up royally and he has to fix it.
yeah, because that's another thing. At first, like the way that the characters are presented, specifically Okabe, is like how much of this shit is actually like
Oh,
serious.
inshallah.
Yeah, how much of this is actually serious? Like, is he just, you know, kind of like living in a fantasy? Like he thinks he's like this big scientist, and like he's thinking that he's coming up with these huge like revelations and shit. And then how much of it actually is real?
Yeah.
Because early on, I was like, this dude just sounds like a joke. Because I mean, for the most part, he acts as this big persona and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and no one else really believes him on anything. thing. And at first, I mean, you literally have no reason to believe him on anything because there isn't anything to believe except for like that first episode. Um, but then like they start finding out more weird shit happening and discovering these crazy things that
So
you'd
how
never
far are you
expect to
into
work.
Zero?
I just finished episode 13, but also
Okay, so you feel like
I have
in
accidentally skipped an episode.
oh well,
I
you should
have.
go back.
I have accidentally skipped an episode.
All right, well,
Uh
even then, in Zero, you definitely see a different side of Okabe.
oh, 100%. That's where I was going to get into about um it kind of like it's in the traditional sense it's a season 2. But also in the traditional sense it's not really a sequel. Uh and I don't know how much I want to save that because I'm afraid. Okay, since we already put the
We're in
spoiler warning, I
spoiler
guess I can
territory.
just
You might as well.
I can talk whatever the
Yeah.
fuck I want. It's both an alternate world line, but also the like future of the previous world line. It's like the like what you see or what you hear happens in the future if things don't change,
Yeah.
right? I
So
mean, you know that more than me, but like,
basically how it works. Obviously, I won't spoil the end of Steins Gate Zero, but basically how it works is episode 23 of the main series, the first main series of Steins Gate, has the first version of that episode, which is part of the main series, and then it has a standalone alternate version of that episode,
yes,
which acts as a means to lead into Steins Gate Zero,
yeah,
and basically though it's basically two different diverging realities, and Steins Gate Zero follows one of those. And
yeah,
yeah,
it's like a choose your own adventure type shit. It's like here's what happens if you go the the positive route, and here's what happens when you go the negative route.
yeah, exactly.
Um, and I was thinking like, cause the way that the show is structured, you kind of forget that like so you kind of forget some of the stuff that happens in the previous season because of like Science Gate Zero being like a complete alternate route, and
Mm-hmm.
I keep forgetting that I'm like, oh wait, like this is literally what would have happened if he just didn't do the shit he did at the end of the first season. And I've heard some opinions before getting to Zero, like even before I even started Steins Gate. I heard people are like, yeah, Steins Gate Zero is kind of like a lot more depressing. I miss when it was all happy,
It's
fun,
definitely different,
scientist,
a
blah
different
blah.
tone.
And I was like, I mean, sure, you can say that like you don't like it because it's not the same like quote unquote positive uh vibe as the first season, but I don't even see season 1 as being a positive vibe.
Nah,
uh but I really like I love it. I honestly do love Science Gear Zero so far. I like
it is really good. I gave the main series a 10, but I gave Zero a 9. I mean, I couldn't give it a 10, but because, well, I can't spoil it for you, but I couldn't give it a 10 because it's just there's something about it that I the way it's structured, I just can't give it a 10.
okay. um
Um, but it's really good. Like it's almost as good as the main series.
yeah, it's crazy. Like some of the things that happen as a result of the decisions made, like from that like we talked about that episode 23B, that like alternate episode 23. um
Hmm.
because of like those decisions made, you get to see like the after effects of that, and like how different characters are affected because of it, and even characters that are introduced like newly in Zero that you didn't know beforehand, like how they're
Yeah.
affected by this current timeline. It's really crazy. And I also like I really like I mean, not to sound like a positive thing, like, oh, I love that this is happening, but like it's really interesting to see like the PTSD effects from Okabe, like about
Hmm.
the shit he went through and how he really just doesn't want to go back and try that shit again and all that. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I'm sitting there like, man, that hurts.
It's rough. It's definitely, my friend always says you're never too young to have a Vietnam flashback.
I
Um,
guess, yeah, I guess.
yeah.
Oh, that's another thing I was gonna say. Speaking of too young, uh, some of the characters do not look their age in this show
Oh
at
no,
all.
no,
Oh my
no,
god,
not at all.
dude! I literally for like like the majority of season, quote unquote season 1, the original Science Gate, the majority of it, I was like, how old are these people? Okabe
Yeah,
looks like late 20s
yeah.
the entire
Actually,
time.
how old is he? I totally forget.
He's a college student. He's like a freshman college student,
Yeah, yeah, he
at the
definitely
beginning
looks
at the
older.
beginning of Zero.
And I like you watch the sub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the dub, he definitely sounds older too because he's voiced by the guy who does Erwin in Attack on Titan.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and that's definitely an older style voice.
Yeah,
Um,
it's I could not figure out half of these people's ages. Like no one, like not everyone looks, deceivingly aged, but like Okabe, the that one cat girl, whatever the fuck.
yeah, yeah,
I always forget her name.
yeah. I forget her name too.
I don't know. Some of the characters just they don't look their age at all, and it
To
doesn't
be
like.
fair, though, that's kind of just a thing in anime where the
Well,
characters don't look
yeah,
their
I was
age.
gonna say that, but
Yeah,
like it's not hindering my enjoyment at all. It's kind of
yeah,
funny to me.
yeah.
That
That's fair.
like technically I'm older than these characters if we're placing them in the current timeline, and I just don't look older than them. But yeah, that I don't really know what else I need to say unless I like literally dive in and talk about the entirety of what I've been thinking. I could, but that will take
Yo,
a
dude,
long time.
please.
Um, I don't know. Like I could say a couple more things. Like
Okay, yeah. Whatever you want to say.
I get here's one gripe I have so far. Although, like I just said, I accidentally skipped an episode. The last episode I watched was the episode I skipped ahead to accidentally. I think it's because when I finished one of the episodes, the last scene was post credits and it like jumped to the next episode and I didn't realize it, so I skipped an episode right after that. So I watched I think
Oh,
episode actually I have my Crunchyroll open right here. I specifically did this so I could look. Okay. I skipped. I went from 10, accidentally skipped 11, and I watched 12. So I was about to start 13 before we started recording.
okay.
So I watched all the way up to 12, but I got to go back and watch 11 whenever we're done with this. And it was like during a during a pretty like big part too. I kind of feel like I fucked shit up, but I hope not. I hope not.
Just don't do it again and go back like
Well, yeah,
real.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna like leave it skipped, and I'm not gonna catch myself skipping anymore because that was a weird turn of events. I don't even know how I did that. But yeah, it was during a pretty like pretty big revelation part too. So I hope I didn't fuck anything up by watching things out of order like that. But
I don't remember Zero as much as I remember the main show,
hmm
but there's definitely some big shit in there. And I would say Zero jumps around a lot more than the main show does. And the main show is more like an escalation and then a realization of what has happened
well,
and then
that's
how do I
another
fix this?
that's another thing too. I didn't. It's crazy how little time passes in the original Steins Gate. Like it's 3 weeks. That entire
Yeah.
show takes place in 3 weeks, which is crazy. But I mean, it's vaguely hinted, but like not confirmed how long exactly. But obviously, Okabe's been there, through like all those time jumps or whatever. Uh, a lot more than 3 weeks. He's experienced a lot of
Mhm.
days past that, but it's not given exactly how much. They're just like there's multiple times where like people on the outside who haven't retained any memory of like his specific world line, they're like, how long you been like doing that shit? Like how many months, weeks, days, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's never really admitted exactly how many, but yeah, it's a crazy way to do that. Like give you a perception of only like I said 3
Mhm.
weeks, but then like come to the realization that the main character's been through a lot more than, that much time.
Can you
It's
imagine
insane.
like being in his shoes and going and time jumping as much as he does and having to explain everything that has happened
See, that's
every
the
time you
thing,
jump?
dude. That's the thing that like I was sitting there, I was like, oh, that sucks so much because you can't explain everything without sounding like a psychopath. The only reason that he could
Yeah.
with Kurisu is because um she for some reason understood him so well. Uh
Yeah, because she's a fellow scientist.
yeah, but like everyone else, you try and explain that and they're like, what the hell's wrong with you? You going insane, dude? I was like,
Yeah, so
oh,
so
oh.
basically the thing about when Okabe time jumps is that he is the only one that remembers the events of the previous timelines. So everyone else is basically under the assumption that the time jump never happened. And he basically enters this world with memories of all the previous timelines and he's like, Wait, you don't remember any of that?
At first it's a Groundhog Day type thing. He's like, wait a minute, you don't remember a single damn thing, and then come to find out that like he expects it at that point later on. He's like, all right, I gotta explain shit again. Um,
Dude, that would drive me
but
insane
that's
after a
another thing I
while.
was gonna say. It's not entirely true that no one remembers anything. I was actually confused at
Yeah, you're
first.
right.
Some people like retain faint memories to an extent of
Hmm.
like the previous world lines or whatever, and I, as much as I want to like, maybe it'll be revealed later. I don't know. I have no idea how the hell that works. Like, how are some people retaining faint memories of someone they never were? If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think there was also a snippet about Mayuri dreaming of some of the events of her alternate timelines.
Well, yeah, it's not even her. It's not even just her. It's Karisu as well. She uh at the end of like the you know at the end of, or actually not even at the end, like even towards the end of the original Steins Gate, she's like, I don't know, for some reason, like I got these weird memories that feel like they're real, but they're not real because I only dream about them, blah blah blah. And I'm like, but like how? I was sitting there, I was like,
Yeah,
what?
that's an interesting one.
And like the whole Ferris stuff. Oh, I remember her name, Ferris. Okay, well there we go.
Ferris, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the whole stuff with like her dad or whatever, it isn't confirmed entirely if she remembered it or not. But like
It could
it's
be that she just assumed that is what she would have wished for.
I don't know, but like even after it, she I don't know. I don't know. It's that's some of the things with these sci-fi shows. A decent amount of it goes over my head, but I do my best to like stay in the loop at the same time. Like I don't let myself
Yeah,
get too
yeah.
confused because then it ruins the enjoyment. But like, man,
Don't think about it too
sci-fi stuff
much.
hurts my brain. As much as I love it, like I love like science fiction, and especially when I was like a kid, science fiction was like so cool to me, and so I've always been, I've always enjoyed sci-fi shows, uh, but it's still pea brain for me. I have issues with some of the weird concepts, um, and most of the stuff are like actual theories too, though. It's like actual, you know, not all of this in these shows are fabricated. A decent amount of it is theory, even if not proven
Yeah,
outside of
yeah.
fiction.
I mean, the whole time machine in general is a little jank if you think about
Well,
it.
yeah, that's another whole thing
But
to
it's like
open up.
it is a unique style of time machine though. Like no other show has done a time machine like
You
that.
talking about the time leap machine specifically?
No, the D-mail.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That was really cool. That was very unique. It was very unique.
Yeah, like what I can't think of another show that does time travel like that. Most time travel shows are like big equipment like you get when you actually have like when the
There
time leap
is
machine shows
one
up.
other show I've watched that's done something similar to that. Although I don't even know if it was 100% like like explained why it happened, but at the same time, it's been so long since I've watched that show. It's a show called Orange, and it's only, I think it's only like 12, 13 episodes, something like that. And like the initial premise is that the main character gets like some like a letter in the mail from her in the future about like shit that's gonna go down, and she basically
Okay.
like, I mean, it's kind of like some, it's basically like some
Okay.
Steins Gate shit. She's told what's gonna happen, and she's told to prevent it. And that's like
Interesting.
all you get to know is like that her from the future sent her mail somehow. I don't even like. I'm pretty sure it is explained, but I don't remember. It's been so long. Maybe I'll go back and watch at some point. It's not bad. It's good. But it's not like as sci-fi heavy as something like Steins Gate. It's just like the main character knows a lot more than they should about the future, which is always an interesting concept to me. Like
Yeah, that
if you've
is.
ever heard of ReZero, uh,
Yep. I've
kind of the
watched
same.
it.
Like
Yeah.
that, a lot of stuff in that type thing happened too. Like one character will know a lot about shit that happens because of circumstances that I'll hold off on because you haven't seen it yet, and I would like you to at some point because it is very good.
All right, so shall we step out of this so the
Yeah, I think I've gotten all my thoughts out of the way. If I have more, maybe I'll bring it back up. But like it's all
one
jumbled
last
up right
thing,
now.
what did you think of the ending? Did you think they nailed it? Did you think there was something missing?
Well, here's something weird. Is like, because it was only vaguely hinted that like uh Makase kept her memories through like dreams and shit. She's like, I don't know why, but I feel like I've spent so much more time with you, blah blah blah. And he's like, it's probably because you have blah blah blah. And then they were like, oh, I love you, blah, 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 whatever. Um, it felt a little weird and a little rushed because you're only supposed to know that like this takes place subtracting all the time travel shit, it takes place over 3 weeks, and it
Yeah.
feels rushed even though it's not. As much as I enjoy like a romance story, as much as I love that, it felt a tad rushed. And then uh for him to be like, all right, fine, I guess I'll go back in time and fix shit, which actually ended up being the right thing because he was still able to, big spoiler, he was still able to save everyone in the end.
Yeah.
Um, I did like that a lot. I did. I wouldn't say 100% that it was like perfect. I can't say that, but it was definitely
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Interesting enough to be like, wow, that was a cool way to like wrap things up. Although
That's an
it felt a little weird that he could watch a video on his phone from himself in the future. That was weird. That was very weird. um,
that may or may not be explained in Steins Gate Zero.
yeah,
So,
like the
just letting you know.
they like what's her name? Suzuha. She was like, well, yeah, you were required to fail once. Now this video will work on your phone. I was like, what? I was like,
Just
huh?
keep watching Steins Gate Zero, and that'll
Oh,
make
okay,
sense.
okay, okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then also there's that episode 25, like OVA, and it's not I don't remember
Sure.
if it was confirmed whether that's even canon, but I see no reason why it can't be considered canon. There is zero
I
things it
like it.
interferes with, and it
Yeah.
actually like if it was considered canon, it adds a really nice touch. One with like a follow up on um post all of the shit happening Kurisu, like the actual like
Yeah.
the one that only met Okabe like weeks ago, like not the one that he spent a lot of time with. It's like one that she thinks that she just met this guy, but then she still has the memories kind of thing. Like there's more follow up
Mm-hmm.
on her and her memories, and then also you get to meet what's presumed to be Suzuha's mom. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It's like not confirmed at
yeah,
all,
that's what
but
I mean. I don't know for sure, but at the same time, like the actual her isn't zero, and I don't remember if they're the same person. So maybe that's where it's filler and not canon because maybe they're not the same character. I don't remember. That's the thing. I just watched this like a couple days ago, like this episode 25 shit. It was like
hmm
3 or 4 days ago, and I already forget what they look like. Um,
I
so
like I like the way the normal show ended just with the 24 episodes because it really ends on a high, and 25 adds a nice little bow tie on it, but it's definitely more of a wrap up
well,
of,
yeah,
oh,
that's I think that's what it's
this
meant
is
to
what
be
happened with the characters after
because it
this.
came out. I looked at the oh excuse me. I looked at the release dates for it, and it came out like a couple years after the OVA 25 came out a couple years after Steins Gate actually
Yeah.
ended. So um, it was a it would have been interesting to see that like in real time airing, like people waiting, a couple years, and then randomly this OVA episode comes out, and it's like, oh,
hmm
there's like you said, like there's like a wrap up on all this stuff. It was really it was interesting. It was funny. It was mostly just a comedy episode, but it was good. I
Yeah.
liked it. But yeah, there's my mixed, strange thoughts on everything. Overall, it's very good. It is very good. It's just a little
Awesome.
weird at times.
Yeah. When I got your text saying, "Wow," I'm like, what did he watch?
Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
did he
I forgot that
watch?
I said that. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna admit what I've been watching, but damn.
Yeah, I guessed it had to be either Steins Gate or Fate Zero if you were gonna say that.
Yeah, that was also something I was contemplating. I was sitting there, and I was like, those are a couple shows that he wants me to watch. Which one should I try? And I was like, Steins Gate is like the third highest rated show on Mal, like ever.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I'm putting this off. That's the thing. A lot of those like super highly rated shows I put off because I'm like, I don't want to be that guy and maybe not enjoy it as much as everyone else does and be like, I have to admit that. But no, most of the time when I watch these super high rated shows, I always like them. Uh,
Yeah, because they deserve that rating
well,
most
yeah,
of the
that's what I
time.
mean. It's like I follow the general consensus that it's good.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just kind of put those off because there's this kind of like sense in discovering something that isn't rated very highly that
That
you
as
like.
well. Yeah. I think it's also like I've heard people say that they got to be in the right mood so that they can experience it at its like greatest potential or whatever. But that's not,
Sure.
that's a weird like thing as well. Uh, but yeah, I put it off for so long, even though I knew what it was, and it's been on my watch list for years. I just never watched it until now.
I think one of the reasons, because that was like early for me. That was one of the first ones I watched.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like a sci-fi nerd, so as soon as I heard it was sci-fi, I was like, I'm jumping on that
Yeah,
shit.
that's crazy, man. Like that's the thing when you like big got into anime this year, you started watching like banger after banger after banger. It's like, oh my god, I
Yeah,
didn't have that same
it's
experience.
crazy.
It's not that I didn't watch good things off the bat. Like pretty early on, I watched a few really good shows that I would say are still some of my like pretty highly rated favorites today. But I just watched whatever random shit interests me. And you had all these, recommendations of like really high
Yeah,
tier shit.
I'm still watching banger after banger. Just letting
I
you know.
know. You're getting through all these good shows one by
I
one,
mixed
man.
in a little. I mixed in some mediocre ones, but
Well,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
still
You
watching
you've
banger after
you I
banger.
remember you telling me you said, "Well, I'm gonna try and watch something that I haven't really heard much about," and I'm like, "That's a good idea." I have issues with that now because I've built up like such a big watch list. Of course, there's this big thing about making watch lists, and that if you make a watch list, you're never gonna watch what's on there, and that's half true because I've had shit on my watch list just like Steins Gate for like years, and I have just not touched it. But
Yeah, I don't see myself ever
making
making a
making a
watch
watch list
list.
is a dangerous way to go. But um, I have issues with like just finding shit and like not hearing much about it and watching it because I've built this like huge like recommendation and watch list now that like all I want to watch is what people have been talking about. And I think that's partly because of recent years like it's blown up a lot more as like a
Sure.
big thing and everyone's talking about all these popular shows and it's like, well, you want to find out what the big hubbub is about and not something that no one's talked about. So,
Yeah, well, I think the big part of that that contributed to this mainstream kind of like introduction for anime is just Netflix just adopting it like
yeah, yeah.
wholeheartedly. Like there's so much anime on Netflix now because like before that it was basically yeah there's a little bit on Amazon but not before Netflix did it. And then there's Crunchyroll and then there's the third party sites.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's a lot. There is a lot. Okay.
Um yeah. So I guess
Well,
that's it for the Steins Gate talk.
yeah. Now that we've gotten what I've been watching, because other than
Yeah.
because other than that, I've just been watching One Piece lately.
Sure, sure.
Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
literally it.
you've been going
Oh,
crazy on
see
One
that
Piece.
that's the issue. I was scared at first because right after we recorded that first thing, I got right back into One Piece and I told myself I was like, all right, well, I've decided I'm just gonna go like one arc and then take a break and then another arc and then take a break. But like the arcs that I decided to jump back in on, I got sucked in and I watched like 4 or 5 arcs and I was like, okay, maybe now that I've gotten to the big time skip, I'm like, I should probably take a break. And so I
I
did.
knew I knew when I started One Piece, it would be like what I started it as. It would be like 200 episodes break, 200 episodes break. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I can't just do 50
Yeah.
if we're talking about that kind of
Well,
show.
I mean, funny part is none of the arcs are even like any more, or I mean, any less than like 70 episodes. So
Yeah.
you're kind of forced to stick with it if you're the type to like want to finish something and not stop in the middle, which I personally can't do unless it's like an arc I genuinely don't like. I can't stop in the middle of something and then just say, oh, I'll pick it up later. I have to finish at least
Yeah.
like the season or the
If you
arc.
like it, you got to finish it.
Yeah, and so
Like I like
I caught myself liking arc after arc, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is like peak One Piece right now." And so for the past month, I've watched 2 shows, and that's One Piece and Steins Gate.
I think
I
I've
don't think there's
watched
been
like
anything else.
6 or 7 in that time.
Yeah, I mean that's how much you can
Yeah.
watch in that amount of time because there's so many One Piece episodes. I mean, I watched like
Yeah.
200-300 episodes in a month.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's it.
that's the extent of what I've been watching. How about you? Since you said you've been watching a lot.
So, all right, the show I'm watching right now, I'm gonna put off till a little later. But the show I finished about, well, I guess
Well, there's
partly
a
finished.
few that like you've brought up to me that I've wanted to talk about because we haven't talked about much.
Yeah.
Uh,
So the show I finished about a week ago, was only the first season of March Comes In Like a Lion.
oh
I
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
watched
yeah.
the second season yet.
Okay.
Um, that is so unique in the way they present everything. Like the visuals used in that show to explain character feelings is like it's so well done because I'm such a visual person.
Hmm.
Like I love seeing I'm a visual learner. Like I need to see something to understand it. And like if you just like describing it to me like metaphors and shit, but with the visuals, it makes it so easy to understand how the characters are feeling, and obviously mainly the main character.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that I always talk about when I talk about Sangatsu is like, holy shit, they managed to visually display like emotions and
Yeah.
symbolisms related to emotion like so well, and it's crazy the unique concepts that they come up with that shit. And that's one of the reasons why it drew me in. I'm like, wow, this is some crazy stuff. And on top of that, it's like actually some deep storytelling. It's not some
Really deep.
shallow like
It's a
one-faced shit.
very simple premise too. It's basically this kid named Ray, teenager, um, in high school. What's a professional shogi player, which is basically like Japanese chess but with more
Yeah, it
steps.
literally is just Japanese chess,
Yeah, it's like chess on steroids.
basically.
Um, it's actually pretty complicated. Like what like they teach it to you as you watch the show. But it's like holy shit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't play it if it was sitting in front of me right now. I'd definitely have to spend more time learning it because it is a
Yeah,
crazy
same.
thing.
Yeah, but that's basically the whole premise of the show. He's basically this professional shogi player who's just going through life and he's kind of depressed.
Yeah,
And
he's not.
that's
Yeah, he's
yeah.
not just going through life. He's had a fucked up life so far.
Oh, I know.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't want to spoil
no,
it,
I'm
but
not
yeah.
gonna. I'm just saying. Like, that's the thing though. They throw this like huge bomb on you right off the start. Is that like they literally in the first like 3 episodes they explain this kid's life is messed up, and basically from that point you just gotta see how he deals with it.
Yeah, they kind of trickle that in like
Sure,
why it's
yeah,
messed
but
up.
there's still like the huge bomb dropped in the first couple episodes of like
Oh
why
yeah,
he
yeah.
is initially like that. And then obviously layers build and you learn more about him, about the characters around him and all that. It's super like equally wholesome as it is just like surprisingly mature. Uh
It's so deep. Like
yeah.
the level of emotion that they dig into is like it makes it so easily relatable to anyone watching it. Like even if you're not remotely close to that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree on that.
Yeah,
Um
it's I don't know, it gets to you.
it
Like you're
does.
like I wouldn't say it's a tearjerker because it doesn't have any I wouldn't say it has any at least in I've only watched the first season, so
Mhm.
it doesn't have any like really climactic scenes, but yeah, it's and just the animation style too is super unique.
Mhm.
Like I've never seen any animation like that.
Yeah, even just the art, like even just the still
Yeah.
art is just like some of the stills of like the actual backgrounds and like world images are so cool to me. They're so cool looking. Like I've screenshotted a
Yeah.
couple of them and they're like I've used them as like desktop backgrounds and stuff because it's just like, man, this stuff is just really good looking. Uh, and it's not like a realistic, really good looking. It's like a
No.
unique. Like this is it's like a painting.
On the spectrum of anime, it's very anime. I'll
Yeah.
say that. Like compared to Steins Gate, which is a little bit more mature, in the sense of just the way they present it. Like if we're comparing it to like a live action show,
Hmm.
obviously, Sangatsu or March Comes in Like a Lion is very mature. But it's just the anime art style is very prevalent. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I can say much more than that because I haven't watched the second season, so I can't it's got me so far, especially like the end of the first season where they did that whole train metaphor. Like that was great. I took a break from it and I'm watching a different show now. But after I finish this show, because it's only 13 episodes, I'll go back and watch
Okay.
season
Okay.
two.
Yeah, I won't say too much. Although it's not like the thing is with Sangatsu is there's not really like a way to spoil things about it other unless you want to talk about like specific character backstories because it's mostly a slow burn and it's
It
mostly
is a slow
like
burn.
just kind of daily life with added in like you basically just dive into people's heads a lot and you just like it's very focused on what people are thinking and not so much like the actual plot happening in front of you. Obviously that takes a
Yeah.
forefront like sometimes, but for the most part it is just like getting inside of people's heads and actually learning what type of people they are just from their thoughts instead of how they are on the outside. It's a really
Yeah.
crazy experience to me. That's why it's been one of my favorite anime for years. Ever since I watched it, it's probably like it's probably like top three, top two for me. It's so good.
Yeah, as opposed to like the normal tropes of getting to know this character from the outside and then there's that big reveal of like how he's actually feeling. No, it's just this whole show is just how he's actually
Yeah,
feeling.
like from the get go,
Yeah.
you get a look of his thoughts right away.
Yeah. Dude, for some reason it annoys me so much, and this isn't a spoiler, but he lives in an apartment by himself and he doesn't have any fucking furniture
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
really annoys
He,
me.
I'm pretty sure he said like he just doesn't feel he needs it. Like he just kind of like wakes up, eat, shogi, go bed,
Yeah.
continue.
He's literally like he's like an animal. He just eat shit and sleep. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically. And then yeah, shogi. That's the fourth one there.
and also trying to balance like school and all that. It's
Yeah, and that crazy bitch. I won't even say more than that, but I'm just gonna say crazy bitch.
I know exactly who you're talking about too. Uh,
Yeah.
well, other than that, because you said you've been watching other shit, I want to know. I want to
So
keep it
what I'm
going.
watching now,
This is like a book club.
this is such a unique show. I'm not done with it. I still have 3 episodes left, but it's so good. It's called Bacano.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and I've heard the Trash Taste Boys talk about it before.
I've heard a
And
lot of people talk about it, and I've see this is crazy. I mean, I'll let you talk first, but I have something to say about that.
sure. So Bacano is actually surprisingly enough not a Japanese title. It's actually Italian, and it stands for ruckus. Which that doesn't really tie into what happens in the plot, though. I guess you could kind of describe it as that, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
If you hear a can
Um,
opening, it's a Sprite can, by the way.
oh shit,
Ah, there we go. Okay, continue.
popping bottles. All right. This is a really hard show to explain, but I'll do my best. It basically it follows 3 separate timelines. It's based in the 1930s, 1930s America, and it basically jumps between 3 different timelines. One timeline is in 1930, one's in 1931, and one's in 1932. And but all of the characters are intertwined. Um, so it centers around the events of this certain intercontinental train that goes from, I'm pretty sure it was Chicago to New York. And basically the whole story is based around the events of this train, which I'm pretty sure is part of the 1930 timeline, if I remember correctly. It might be 1931, but I don't remember. It's hard. It's kind of hard to keep track. I gotta be honest. Um, but yeah, like anymore, and I would be spoiling it. Like it's that hard to explain, but
Okay.
it's basically it kind of focuses around the old mobsters, and there's like you have your old Italian mobster families, like you have the Martello family and the Gandor family and the Runorata family. And like the dub is fucking amazing because they're all actually have Italian accents and they do them so well.
Yeah, I've heard that's one of the
Um
best dubs.
yeah, it's like you come to me on the date of my daughter's
Oh
wedding
God, nah, shut up.
it's all like that. It's so well done. It's actually absurd. Like it might be the best dub I've ever heard. I'm not even done with it.
Yeah, with that show in particular, I actually tried to start it a couple of years ago, uh, and for some reason, like I could only get past like the first episode, and I couldn't continue. I don't know why. I tried it like twice, and I just like I heard
Yeah.
nothing but great things, and it's like a lot of people love it, but I don't know. I'm gonna go back and try it again at some point. Like it's funny that you bring that up because I completely forgot about that show's existence. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna try and go back and watch it at some point because I can't I couldn't start it. I couldn't get into it both times. That's funny.
That's
It's like one of those highly rated shows that I was talking about earlier. How it's like, oh yeah, I usually like them, but this is like I couldn't get into it for some reason, and I know it's
that's
so
funny
highly
that you
rated.
say that cuz the first scene hooked me. I don't know if you
I don't
remember the
know.
first scene, but
Well, that's the thing. Isn't the first episode like not like isn't other than like you said, it's like different timelines, but like isn't it like not chronological for the most part either?
yeah, the whole show they're jumping between the timelines.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
think
what
that's
makes
what
it kind of
confused me.
hard to grasp.
I think that's what
Like
confused me. That's why I was like, what's going on at all times?
Yeah, like even I'm still now like I think I have a like an 80% grasp on what is in which timeline, but I'm still like, hold on, I'm not exactly sure
Because it's
if this is
because
happening.
it's not like it's only a year jump. It's not like a huge jump from
Yeah, exactly.
eras. So it's a lot harder to probably keep track of, which, because everyone looks the same, I'm assuming.
And
Um,
there are characters that are in more than one of those timelines.
oh yeah, that's
Like there's
tough.
a there the same characters in the 1932 timeline can also be in the 1930 timeline. Um, that makes it a little easier to keep track of actually because they're in you know what they're doing. So you know that is what they're doing in that timeline and this is what they're doing in this timeline.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, dude, the soundtrack and the opening, it's all smooth jazz. It's so well done. It's very 1930s. It's really an era piece.
Okay.
And honestly, it's hard to believe it was made in Japan because it's like it has nothing to do with Japan at all. Like
Well,
and
that's
there's
not uncommon.
yeah, and there's this I find it funny because in normally the anime art style is portrayed as Japanese people. At least that's what I presume. Um, but there's a specific character, more of a minor character, who's clearly made out to be an Asian. And I was like, oh, they actually like drew it like kind of what they actually look like. I hope that doesn't come out as racist at
No, I get what you
all.
mean.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I gotta try and watch that at some point. I gotta try and give it a go again. Because I don't think I ever made it past episode one. I think I've only tried it twice. And usually I give things like usually 2 or 3 episode try to like give myself a full attempt and not give up on just the starting episode. Because some first
Yeah.
episodes of shows that end up being really good aren't good. I'm not saying that's the case for Bakano, but like other shows, I've not liked the first episode, but I've ended up loving the show after finishing it. So maybe that's what it'll be for me.
It's one of those shows where you're like 4 episodes in and what's got you so far is that there's this really weird a bunch of weird shit happening and they just like they tell you like it was in the very first scene. I'm not gonna like explain the scene, but they tell you it all happens on the events of this train. The events of this train affect everything and all that
Yeah.
shit. And it isn't until like episode 5 or 6 that they actually reveal some of the major plot points and how everything works.
Okay.
And then you're like, okay, I think I'm starting to understand what's going on here.
I finally figured it out.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really I've never seen anything done like this. At least in the anime realm.
Okay.
Um, I think I remember kind of like a time jumpy show like this a while back. I don't remember
Yeah,
what it was called though.
it's called
It's
something
but
like
I've
Steins Gate or something like that.
no, it's different than that because you're not actually time jumping.
Yeah.
Um, um, but yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but
Well, I think I
it's
got
really good.
enough of a grasp, at least a lot more than I did initially. So maybe that'll give me more incentive to watch it later. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who
it's
knows?
only 13 episodes, so and I'm pretty sure there's a 3 episode OVA as well, which I'll probably watch that after I'm done
That's
with the
another
main
thing with
show.
OVAs. I don't entirely know what their full purpose is. Like I know they're meant to be like extra content that wasn't added to the original season, but I don't know how much of OVAs are meant to be canon, how much of them are meant to be
Yeah,
related, how much of them are meant to be like one-off spin-off episodes. I don't know. OVAs are weird to me.
they are really weird to me, and they're not that's not a like a Eastern or a Western concept. Like it's not something that we're used to here in the
Hmm.
States. But I think the main purpose of them is more kind of wrapping up character stories, tying off loose ends. Um,
Sometimes, yeah, but
and
I've seen OVAs where it's just like an extra episode, like
yeah,
completely
there's
unrelated.
that too. Like that's the case with Violet Evergarden. It's like it's kind of just like an extra episode.
Yeah,
So,
and like with the Steins
um,
Gate one, it almost feels
yeah.
canon. So that's I don't
Yeah,
know.
it
I don't know
does.
for
Like
sure.
there's two types of OVAs. There's wrap up OVAs and there's shit that happens after the story and then there's shit that happens during the story which you're like, okay, there's two things about this. Either they should have included this because it's good and it doesn't detract from the story, or I understand why they didn't put this in the story because it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, like some of them have just straight up like beach episodes as OVAs.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
one of those
Dude, like
being
literally, I don't know if there's another Steins Gate OVA with basically all of the girl
isn't it
characters. They
Valentine's Day or
just
something?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
They
read up
go
on that. I just
to
didn't watch it.
yeah, they basically all go to Ferris's apartment and just make Valentine's Day treats. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any
Well,
it doesn't have any impact on the
did
plot
you
whatsoever.
I guess this is another one that you've been watching that you haven't talked about yet, but did you end up watching the Hyoko OVA?
Yes,
That's straight
the
up just a pool
yeah, it's
episode.
just a beach. It's just a pool episode. It was like there's really no reason to watch it other than if you want to see the characters in bathing suits. I mean,
Okay, well, hold on. I don't know if that's
and
entirely the purpose, but it's
even
definitely
that's
a
kind
part
of
of it.
sketch. So
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't bad. It was another
I thought it
episode.
was kind of boring.
Oh no, yeah, it wasn't on the par of the main show. But yeah,
Okay.
you don't have to watch that.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm like, I don't think there was any correlation with that one to the plot, but
No.
all right, well, keep going down the list. Come on, this is like book club, but I've already read
Oh
all
my
the
god.
books.
All right, well,
Well, not all of them.
let's go to the big one. Let's go to Dr. Stone.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were
Um,
gonna say something else at that, but okay.
no, I mean the big one for me because I rated it so fucking highly.
Yeah, and it's just
That
one season.
is,
That's
yeah,
crazy for you. Is because you've always said that you wait until you give your full rating on something until you've like completely finished it. So for just the season one to get a like a what is it, a 10
dude,
you gave?
yeah, I gave it a 10. And yeah, my other two tens, Hunter x Hunter and Steins Gate, they're well, I guess Steins Gate isn't one season, but it's kind. I can't
It's a
say
lot more
anything more.
fleshed out.
Yeah, yeah. But dude, I just there wasn't a moment like after like episode 5 when they actually got into like the science shit
Hmm.
and like really deep into that. There wasn't a moment after that that I didn't have like a big grin on my face cuz I was like, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do that? How are they going to do
Ooh,
that?
how are they going to invent this thing that wasn't
Yeah.
invented? Yeah.
And
It,
I'm a geek for that shit. So I'm like, uh,
nerd.
yeah. I don't know.
Uh,
Everything. There's only one bad thing about this show, and it's his fucking hair.
you don't like Senku's leak hair?
I wouldn't say I don't like it. I'm just saying, explain it,
It looks
please.
like a leak. Just looks like a bunch of
Yeah,
leaks.
he has a fucking he has a celery stick. He has a bunch of celery sticks on his head. Um, but other than yeah, because the only reason that stands out though is because all the other characters' hair is relatively speaking
Relatively
are
normal.
pretty normal.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I kind of dig it. I like the unique character designs because as much as everyone's hair looks normal, it's everyone at the same time has a pretty unique design in terms of like normal standards to me.
as yeah, I
Um,
mean, as much as I wish they would explain his hair, like I can suspend
I don't think his hair needs an explanation.
is
I
I
think
can
that's just his
suspend my
hair.
I can suspend my disbelief enough that I don't actually give a shit.
uh, but yeah, well, other than the hair, what do you think of like the entirety of the season?
I well, when when it got into like the science shit after like episodes 5 or 6, I wasn't really expecting much other than a bunch of science shit, really.
Hmm.
But they like the whole reveal with Senku's dad.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh my
Oh
god,
man.
that caught me off
Yeah,
guard.
that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and like they were hinting at it, like like I'll say this because it doesn't actually spoil it. Like they were hinting at astronaut, and I was like, when I realized it, I was like, I literally like, I like dropped to the floor. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, I get it. I understand what's
I
going
get
on
it. I
here.
get it.
Everything is connected, and I get it. I was like, what? Like because I had this nagging question in my mind about how these people, like aren't stone,
Hmm.
and like that's not a spoiler because it happens in literally the first episode, but
Also, kind of the title,
yeah.
Doctor
And
Stone.
it's like how like what's the deal here? Like how are they okay? Like were they underground? Like what happened?
Yeah, that was super cool. That was so cool to me. Uh, and also just like it's not entirely like a super unique concept because there's been like post-apocalyptic shows or something like that before, but most of the time they're done differently from each other, at least in that regard. So for everyone to just completely turn to stone for like 3,000 years, and
Yeah.
then this dude just wakes up and he's like, "All right, time to reinvent everything," and like, you know,
And everyone is basically cryogenically preserved in the stone because
yeah,
so they didn't age at all.
yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. It's
And I'm pretty
but
sure it's not. It's been a while since I've watched it, but well, a while being like a few months, but I don't think it's ever explained why everyone turned to stone yet, right?
no, it's
Okay,
not.
that's what I thought.
That's well, yeah. The new season is literally coming
Dude,
out
yeah,
next
it's
month.
January. Oh, dude, I can't
Um,
wait. I've been waiting.
yeah. I heard the manga goes for a while, so it gets explained eventually. It has to be.
Yeah,
But that is the one thing you're like, all right, well, this I'm gonna have to wait a while for that one. But other than that, like, so at that point, after that reveal, and after there was that whole tournament arc, which was fine.
felt a
It,
little
like
a tad unnecessary, but yeah,
I didn't have a problem with it. Obviously, the science shit was cooler, but
yeah.
but it's good to break up the monotony every now and then.
Yeah, because if it was just constant inventing things, like sure, I'm not saying I wouldn't be down for that, but like to mix it up with other things is like you said
Yeah.
is nice. Uh, the only thing is
The
I would say is that I definitely did prefer the first half of the first season a lot more than the
okay.
second half to me. I don't know, just like the beginning stuff where they were like straight up, it was like a straight up like it felt like they were playing the forest, like they just woke up and decided that they just gotta survive on their own. Like it was just a survival at that point. I
Yeah.
liked that a lot, and then the whole stuff with Sukasa and them like reviving him and whatever. I'm trying to like not say too much because you learn pretty early about like
Sure. Sure.
them
Sure.
reviving people and whatever. And then the whole diverging opinions between like Sukasa and Senku. I loved that. I loved that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And his like ideology or whatever. Oh, dude, I really liked that. So when it kind of cut off from that and
I like
it
the
was like an
kind
arc
of
shift.
the dichotomy of like Sukasa knows he's the king of the jungle basically.
Yeah,
He's the brawn.
big strong man.
Yeah, but his equal in the sense of uh
Potential.
brains and potential is Senku. So he basically they're just as strong as each other but with different types of strengths,
Mm-hmm.
which it kind of creates this really interesting sort of duel in their
Well,
heads.
yeah, and that's another thing is they have completely different ways to go about, you know, reviving this world. Like, Senku's traditional plan to just make everyone okay again and revive
Yeah.
everyone. And I guess because we're already talking about it, um, I might as well just like spoiler warning.
All right, yeah, spoilers. Spoil-
Like
I'll put a
Sukasa's
thing on the
like
screen. Don't worry.
Sukasa's plan to only keep the young and like
Yeah, yeah,
kill all the old or like not revive all the old people and all the the adults and stuff because he feels that he wants to create a pure world and whatever. Uh,
and the thing is about that is that I actually like kind of agree with him.
whoa, hold on, whoa.
Yeah.
Something you gotta say to me?
No, it's like I can see where you're coming from, and it makes sense.
You admitting
Like
to a
it's
crime?
barbaric and it's kind of fucked up, but it makes sense.
Well, sure. Maybe that's why it's like he's such an interesting character, is because he's not entirely insane. Like
Yeah,
his reasoning behind what he wants to do makes sense, and so you kind of take a liking to these characters that have some sort of relatable qualities to them to an extent in this weird post-apocalyptic world. That it's not
yeah,
like your stereotypical villain that's like I want to destroy the world and revive no one, whatever. Okay, well that's not realistic. Um, that's probably why the show is so successful is because a lot of these characters are like pretty fleshed out already without even only one season existing.
yeah.
So
Because I mean, the show draws you in immediately, but you're like, okay, this guy's waking up 3,700 years
oh, and the fact that he
after
was
being.
counting all the way through it, oh dude, that was
I
insane.
that was
That was
like
insane.
what? I
Talk about things you
how
can't
did
relate
you?
to.
Yeah, yeah. How did you not fall asleep? Like I guess I mean the I guess the chemistry and the biology isn't really explained about what the fuck is the deal with the stone. Um, but he was awake for 3,700 years, and he was counting.
He counted
I
every
was, I was
second.
like, okay,
That
like
man's
you're
brain
clearly, yeah, you're
does not fit
clearly
in his
Giga
head.
Brain. Um, yeah, that's fucking crazy. And I love the thing with was it Taiju his name?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Taiju about he just like had this insane determination to tell Yuzuriha how he feels, and that's why he stayed
I
awake.
mean, yeah, yeah. People got their own determination.
Yeah, that was really fun. And while we're in spoiler territory, the fucking at the end with the vinyl,
Oh yeah, yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god, that got
That
me.
got me
Like that
good. That got me
that
good.
that brought like that brought a tear to my
That
eye.
got me
Like I'm
good.
not even kidding.
Hmm.
Like that was like him picking up realizing it first. I was like I realized it like exactly when he realized it. And I thought that was cool.
That was
And
yeah,
then
that was crazy.
he got the vinyl, and then when they put it on and they're hearing the voice of the founder of their village from 3,700 years ago, I'm like, this is mind fuck.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy because those people have been living, you know, in this world that they think is normal for
Yeah, before that it was a
all that time.
9, that made it a 10.
Yeah, that was crazy. That
Yeah.
was really crazy. And the way that like it builds up at the end of the season to like transfer into the next season is also very good. Like
Yeah, it's
they did a
very smooth.
perfect job of hyping you up. I think one of the huge parts about that is that Taiju and Yuzuriya were over with like Sukasa's people or whatever. They were
Yeah, like
spying on them, and so
you
because
literally they leave at like episode 5 and you don't hear from them again.
yeah, that's in like a lot of people are probably anticipating like their return as well. So, and it's also supposed to be like that's supposed to be like the big clash is season 2. So that's
Yeah, well, I mean, it's called
exciting.
Stone Wars, so
That's
it
exciting.
fucking better
Very
be.
exciting.
Yeah, that's a big one. Like that is, and obviously Attack on Titan, and then we have, God, what I literally watched Joey's episode today on the winter anime, and I'm just like, I'm totally blanking on it.
We got some stuff
Yeah,
coming. That's the thing. January,
yeah,
like specifically the winter season, is gonna be pretty crazy. Uh,
yeah. It's like because everything was delayed, so everything's not coming out now. Like literally all of the big shows that didn't have a season 2 yet, everything is getting a season 2.
yeah, we got Dr. Stone, Promise Neverland, Attack on
Yeah,
Titan,
that was another one.
ReZero. Well, ReZero already had season 2, but it's going to be the second part of it is airing in
Yeah,
winter
yeah.
season. I'm looking at it right now. That's why I'm reading them off. We got another Log Horizon season. Uh, there's a lot of stuff coming. Um, maybe not things that you and I are both excited for, but like I'm specifically excited because there's the final Gintama movie supposed to be airing in January, and
Sure, sure.
that's like long awaited. I've been waiting about a year for this because I finished watching all the way up to whatever episode in like November of last year. So
When did you start that show?
I started like probably like October, maybe September, August area, like end of summer, 2019. So
Okay.
I already was I was at the point where everything that had aired had already finished, so I didn't have to worry about waiting for seasons. So I
Cool,
just
cool.
binged it right through for like 2 months, and
I remember your tweets about it,
oh yeah,
and they were like,
I was insanely
yeah,
into it. I mean, I
they
still
were
am, but
very varied, like
in what sense?
in tone. Like I vividly remember one of your tweets. I was like, "Yo, I didn't expect the show to be like this, man."
Yeah, because I mean, without talking about it too much, because this isn't a Game
Yeah.
Time episode, but like, you initially think it's just comedy because it's meant to be like a parody shonen for the
Well,
most
yeah,
part.
that's what it's presented. Like there's literally a GIF of I can't explain it at all. You probably can. Of two of the characters riding on two of the other characters as planks in
Yeah,
the air.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's just meant to be this like insanely like absurd comedy, and like a lot of shonen parodies, and like meant to break the fourth wall a lot and just be like really funny. And then it actually somehow manages to do that and build an actual stable plot that is like higher than above average, like very, very good. I don't know how it manages to juggle those things so perfectly. The mangaka is insanely talented,
Mhm.
and it's still like solidified as my favorite series because of it. So to get something like that, and then to have like the final arcs of the manga are going to be turned into this movie, and I've already seen trailers for it. Visually it looks insanely good. Um, I'm so excited. That is my big one for the beginning of next year. On top of like obviously Attack on Titan's final season's gonna be crazy. Episode 1 already aired,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah,
going
it
already.
did. It's
Um,
going. It's like, well, the way we watch shows, me and Tyler, is
yeah,
that we like to binge. Like, when I watched live action shows a lot, I could do the weekly thing because you get an hour, you know? You get an hour with that shit usually, especially the HBO shows, but like with anime, you get 20 minutes and then it's just kind of like
gotta wait a
you just get
week.
yeah, it's basically you kind of just get excited and then it's blue balls.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and
and then
because I can't do weekly episodes with anime. I just can't do it. So we're gonna wait until the whole season comes out.
that is, yeah, that is the case. So, it may be a show that's airing in the winter, but probably not gonna watch it till spring. So,
Yeah. Same
uh,
thing with The Promised Neverland season 2 and Dr. Stone season 2. Like
yeah,
come like April, May, it's gonna be hype.
yeah. Uh, Whenever that comes around, we gotta wait for that. But I've gotten used to like realizing that I'm always gonna be a season behind for this shit. But not only do I just not like to wait and I'm impatient, but I also have a pretty bad memory with like recent things. Like for some reason I have a pretty bad memory if I'm like watching something and then like a week later I got to remember everything that happened. Like that's the only case where I think recaps are useful. And obviously that's why recaps
Sure.
exist is because for the weekly watchers, you know, a week later you might not remember everything that happened unless you rewatch the episode, and some people don't want to do that, so the recap exists. But I don't like recaps because I binge, and so I don't need to know what happened when I just watched what
Mm-hmm.
happened a second ago. So
Yeah, I think in one sense I understand where you're coming from, but another sense I do feel like if you do weekly watch, then as a whole, when you do finish the series, you kind of remember it better than if you just binged it.
sure, yeah,
Because if you just binged it, it's kind of like a drug. You just remember exactly what happened recently, and it
yeah,
doesn't have time to settle in your mind.
true,
Um, but it's not really worth it though, in my opinion, because
yeah,
it's just like you have to wait so long.
yeah. I've tried it. Like the only times I've actually like genuinely forced myself to, you know, watch something weekly when it was airing. It wasn't for like the because I want to watch it now. Well, I mean it was, but not for the traditional sense. It was because I was watching a show and I didn't realize that there were 2 episodes left in the last season, and I was like,
Sure.
damn, I really gotta wait just for the final episodes. And so I did watch each of them like when they released because it was only 2. uh, it didn't hurt my enjoyment because the ending itself wasn't even great to begin with. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's the only time I've tried to do that, and that alone, I was like, man, how do people do this every week?
Yeah.
Maybe
It
it's
wasn't.
because, well, maybe it's because there's so many shows that people are watching at once that they don't feel that they only, are spending 20 minutes a week watching this. They're spending like an hour or two because they're keeping up with like a ton of shows airing at once. So maybe to them they are watching like 6, 7 episodes a week, and it's not as
And
bad.
some people prefer to watch that way. You have your 6 or 7 shows, and like 3 hours out of every week, you just take and watch the next episode of each of those shows. But I like, I'm like when I'm on something, I just need to stay focused on that.
Yeah.
Like
That's another thing for
when
me
I
too. I was about to say
yeah,
that.
when I find something I like, I just want to get so immersed in that one thing. Like I can't just keep track of all that other shit and actually enjoy the like this one thing to the fullest.
That's another thing that you and I are the same on. I can't keep up with multiple shows at once. Like I've never tried to like watch multiple things at the same time. Well, I have before and I didn't enjoy it. So maybe I guess I've experienced it. I I gotta like if I start something, I'm only gonna watch that, and then if I decide to take a break on it, sure. But like I can't watch 2 things at the same time. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah,
Because I like to be like super into something. I mean,
same.
like you, yeah, you just explained it. I'm not gonna say it again, but like, yeah, I agree. That's all I'll say is I agree.
All
Anything
right.
else, or do you
I
want to
do
switch
want
it
to
up?
touch on one more thing before we end off, unless you have more things you want to talk about.
I mean,
Because right at the time we did the last podcast, I was just starting Magi,
mm-hmm.
and I just want to touch on that real quick because if there was ever a show that needs more seasons, holy fuck, this show needs more seasons. Because the manga is totally finished. I'm pretty sure the last anime season, which only has two seasons, 25 episodes each, ended in like 2014. The manga ended in 2017. So all those source material is there. It's ready to go. It's so fucking
Yeah,
good.
I'm wondering what happened there. I'm wondering if it was a licensing thing, if it was just it didn't gain enough traction to warrant another season. I don't know, because I felt like it was pretty popular. At least it is now. Like it's recently been pretty popular again out of nowhere. Um,
Yeah, and I hear like the next events of the next like arc like explain so much shit. So
that's
that's
dude,
why
that's
I'm
so
so
many shows, dude. So
yeah.
many series is like right where the show like drops off is where the manga gets really good. And that's examples like Hunter x Hunter, Bleach, Attack on
Yeah.
Titan.
I mean,
Although,
Hunter x Hunter is really good like
well,
with
yeah,
what it
yeah.
has
I'm not
now,
saying
but
it's not good on its own, but people have said that the arc after that is like really good as well.
yeah.
And with Bleach and Attack on Titan, that actually both of them are actually going to be adapting those things. But like Bleach, it took years for that final season to be announced, and now next year apparently we're getting it. Um, so that's a big thing as well. But
Yeah, when I heard the Attack on Titan final arc is like the best, I was shocked because it was so good to begin with. I was expecting it to be about the same as the second part of the third season because
hmm
that was like a really good peak.
yeah.
But now I've stopped following like all the anime people on Twitter because I'm so paranoid about spoilers now.
Yeah, yeah, that's the smart way to go, especially with Attack on Titan. People in the Attack on Titan like fandom, I guess you could say, they're just a bunch of assholes. Like for
Yeah,
the
because
most
I
part,
know you
dude,
had something
people
spoiled for
just
you.
spoil shit all over the place, and they don't care. They're like, oh, well, I'm a manga reader, and you should know that
Yeah.
this happens. I'm like, come on, man. Like I've avoided it obviously for the most part, but I have already been spoiled on a couple things. So whatever. It's not the first time I've experienced that dumb shit.
Yes, oh God, it's a shame.
Then
So
again, like,
I'm really protective about that type of shit.
yeah,
Like, because like I know it's not anime, like, but before I watched Game of Thrones, I had a big thing spoiled for me too.
yeah,
But like, at least with that show, it ended so like poorly that it doesn't fucking matter.
yeah,
But yeah, with Magi, the first 17 episodes of that show is some of the best shit I've ever
yeah.
seen.
That whole like ball
And
bat arc is
yeah,
amazing.
and like the rest of it's pretty good too, but it's not on the level of the first 17
I would
episodes.
entirely agree. I preferred the
Yeah.
first section the most.
Um, but yeah, that's it's such a shame that it hasn't been adapted yet because it so totally deserves to. And if that ever gets announced, I'm gonna be jumping
That's
up
gonna
and
be out
down.
of nowhere. Yeah,
Gonna be
that's kind of like
yeah.
the same thing with like I mean we already talked about this in the first podcast, but like when Origairu got into third season, it was out of nowhere. People did not expect it because in like 2015, and 4 years later, randomly they're like, "Hey, season three is gonna happen, and the
Hmm.
finale is going to be a thing," and everyone was like, "Well, for the most part, people probably forgot about that show entirely because it wasn't like
Yeah,
huge in the first place. It was pretty popular, but that was only because like people who were a fan of the genre liked it. But season three
it
actually
wasn't.
revived it. So
Yeah, I'd say it wasn't as much of a thing, but with Attack on Titan, even because the first season came out in 2013, and then everyone was like, "Yo, when's the second season coming out?" And it took 4 years.
oh yeah,
And
it
like,
was 2017, wasn't it?
yeah, and by that time, a
Damn.
lot of like the casual watchers like totally forgot about it. But I think we're finally to the point now because we had 2017 with the second season last year with the third season, I think both parts. And then now, obviously, we're getting the last season, so it's a little more consistent, even though obviously it's the last season now, so it's gonna end. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I I I agree. That was it was a lot better pace from that point, but I don't know why shows take like either huge gaps like that or it's just like they don't. finish where they should. But then again, that's a whole like we'll never know about
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff.
diving into
It's
like
just vague.
how popular the show is
Yeah.
and how you telling is popular, how much is it selling, and
Yeah.
all that shit. Um, yeah. All right. Anything else we want to touch on?
I don't know. What's funny is like the second time this is the second time we've done this, I always feel like there should be some sort of topic prepared, but then we spend the entire time just doing like a book club style thing where it's like, what you been watching lately? And I guess that's just
Yeah.
the format now because we go on tangents like this.
I like it. I mean, hey, if there's anything specific you want to talk about,
See,
totally cool. But
I don't even have like a specific thing. I was just like, I'm surprised that it's already been almost an hour. It just doesn't feel like it.
it's been over an hour actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was convinced that like that was gonna be the first portion is like a book club, like, hey, what you been watching lately? Haha, talk about it, and then going into something, but I don't even know what to talk about now. So I guess that's and it's already been over an hour, so probably fitting.
Hmm. All right. So, thanks for watching, everyone. This has been, as I said before, episode 2 of Somewhat Distracted. Oh, I forgot to mention we have a title for the podcast.
Yeah, although
Uh,
it doesn't entirely make sense, but it's not supposed to.
I guess it just kind of describes both of our
Well,
mindsets.
literally what I just said explains it. Like
Yeah.
I thought we were going to end up talking about more than just what we've been watching, and then we literally got distracted to the point where we talked about it the entire time. So, there you go.
That's it. That's us in a nutshell.
There you
All
go.
right. So I think this is probably going to be the last episode of the year. Um, I'm going on vacation and all that. So
And plus,
once January rolls
we
around,
usually give a decent gap to like let us
yeah,
watch some shit, so we don't talk about the same stuff every time or not have stuff to talk about. So
exactly.
yeah,
So yeah, I get next episode. Well, this episode will be going up in December. Probably maybe in like a week or so. And next episode will be January. So thank you all for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to, and comment if you have any scintillating opinions.
although
Anything you want to say?
eh, I kind of feel bad because this was like half of it was completely spoiler tagged. So if you were watching the stuff we were watching, be
Yeah.
careful what you say in the comments.
I will make sure everything is marked so no one gets spoiled.
Good,
All right.
good guy.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I've been Jay, and you have been Tyler.
I have. Sometimes I'm not, but today I have been. Yes.
Yes. All right. Thanks for watching again, and have a good one.
Goodbye.
Peace.